Hello. Mr. Argyle isn't here today, so we're just going to briefly go over how to do this particular paper. It's fairly straightforward. I don't anticipate a ton of struggle with it, but we'll just talk about it, just to talk about it. As was introduced yesterday, we are using what's called function notation. Which is read f of x or something like that. You'll notice we have several different letters on this piece of paper, but that's how we say it. So, for example, something like number 1 would be read f of 0. Fairly straightforward on how to solve. What we do is we first have to treat it kind of like a bit of matching. So, number 1 is f of 0. That means we're going to have to use f of x to solve it. Now, keep in mind, here it says x and here it says 0. So 0 is an x value. We need to find the corresponding y value if we're thinking kind of like the x-axis is this way and the y-axis is this way. So as we trace this line, we see that x is there. What is the corresponding y value? Well, when x is equal to 0, y is also equal to 0 in this particular case. So f of 0 is simply 0. Similarly, if we move down to g of negative 4, this one's going to be slightly more interesting because it's not going to be on the y-axis. We're simply going to find negative 4 on g of x. So negative 4 is going to be right here. Then I have to navigate up or down to find our graph. In this case, negative 4, we have to go up to find it, and the corresponding y value is 2. We'll do one more, just to say that we've done at least one example of each kind. We'll do number 9, h of 6. So that means we need to use h of x here. We need to go to 6 on the x-axis. We need to go up or down to hit our graph. In this case, we got to go up. Find the corresponding y value, which in this case is 3. So on and so forth. Now, on the back of the paper, you'll see we don't have graphs. We just have things written out in function notation. Now, this is similar to finding a term using an explicit formula, like we did last unit. So, for example, if we're going to start with our f of x function again, the first step is just basic matching. In this case, f of x corresponds to 2x. Meaning we can simply replace the x's with 0 and evaluate. 2 times 0 is 0. Now I want you to pay special attention to j of x. This has an absolute value. You will recall that the absolute value is the distance from 0. So if we want to find the absolute value, think of it as like a number line. 0 is in the center. Whatever distance we are, say 3 or negative 3 away from 0, that distance is still always going to be 3. Doesn't matter which way you're going. So when we have something like number 32, which says j of negative 3, the basic method is the same. We're going to use j of x, which is the absolute value of x plus 1, which in this case, we could simply replace the x values with what we are told the x value is, which in this case is negative 3 which will give us, I'm just going to write over 35. J of negative 3 is equal to the absolute value of negative 3, the distance from 0, that's going to be 3, plus 1, which is 4. So therefore, j of negative 3 is 4. I'm going to go ahead and just do one example, like of g of x and h of x, just so I can say that I did. Let's do g of 3, because that one's slightly more interesting than 0. That's going to give us g of x is equal to x squared. I'm just simply matching from the top. I'm going to replace our x values with, in this case, 3. 3 squared is 9, so therefore g of 3 is 9. Similarly, let's go ahead and try number 31 for h of negative 1. That's going to be h of x is equal to, I'm getting ahead of myself, x cubed plus 4, which we replace the x values with negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1 is going to be negative 1, plus 4 is equal to 3. So therefore, I'm just going to erase this so it's out of the way. H of negative 1 is 3. Now, if you made it to this point in the video, don't tell your peers about this. I want them to watch the video too. But with something like this, you'll notice we have 47 whole questions. I am okay if you don't show your work on this paper and this paper alone. But I'm willing to bet that there are certain people who can probably intuit these things in their brains, and therefore writing it down isn't actually helpful. If that's you, you're welcome to. If not, you're welcome to show your work. It's not a crime. All right. On Monday, let me know if you have any additional questions.